Have you ever felt a deeply personal, almost undeniable connection to someone who doesn't even know your name? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going way beyond the music and the merch to uncover the emotional architecture of modern fandom. We're going to explore the inherent structural asymmetry of the fan-idol relationship, breaking down the psychology and the industry mechanics that make these one-way connections feel so intensely real. Okay, let's quickly map out our journey today. We'll start with the illusion of closeness, break down parasocial interaction, examine manufactured intimacy, analyze the emotional imbalance, and finally, look at finding real meaning. Section 1. The illusion of closeness. Let's look at how we build this connection. If you've ever been a dedicated fan, this routine is going to look incredibly familiar. You're watching every single interview, you're catching every live stream, and you're analyzing those stage performances. You dedicate hours to learning their background, their quirky personality traits, their daily habits. You're endlessly looping their music and constantly refreshing for updates. What's actually happening here is a continuous, long-term focus. Over time, this intense concentration literally tricks your brain. It generates a very genuine, very real sensation of truly knowing this person on a personal level. Now, this right here perfectly captures a concept called unequal contact density. On the left side, your view as a fan is highly concentrated. This is a special person to me. But on the right, the idol's reality is entirely different. To them, you are likely just one of thousands, maybe even millions of anonymous IDs in a massive crowd. This creates an enormous gap in emotional concentration. You are hyper-focused on them while their attention is dispersed across a vast, faceless audience. Moving right along to Section 2, Parasocial Interaction Explained. Let's get into the actual science. So this isn't just some quirk of modern internet culture. It's a well-documented psychological phenomenon known as parasocial interaction. It's when a person forms a one-way emotional connection with a media figure that mimics a real intimate relationship. And naming this is absolutely crucial. Actually, it's a total game changer because it immediately removes the stigma. It proves that while the relationship itself isn't a two-way street since they don't know who you are, the psychological mechanism happening inside your brain is completely natural. Look at how brilliantly this illustrates the way different types of media figures step in to fill distinct, deeply intimate roles in our lives. For a streamer, the felt role is often that of a friend. For an actor, they might feel like a companion. But idols? Idols often occupy the space of lovers, family, or vital emotional support. We assign these incredibly intimate roles to people on a screen, leaning on them to fulfill our fundamental emotional needs, even when they have absolutely no idea who we are. Which brings us to Section 3, Manufactured Intimacy. Let's expose some industry tactics. Here's the thing. The entertainment industry isn't just passively benefiting from parasocial relationships. They are intentionally engineering them. Just think about the tactics. Looking directly into the camera to say I love you, creating exclusive fan names so it feels like a private club, hosting fan sign events, dropping surprise welfare videos, and using that sneaky, only you guys truly understand me messaging. The industry's entire operational logic actively relies on fostering this specific sense of companionship and shared growth. They are quite literally building a product out of intimacy. So the absolutely crucial point here is this. Fans easily mistake public expression for a private response. The idol's actions, the smiles, the heart hands, those late-night posts, they aren't necessarily fake, but they are emotional outputs directed at a broad, general group. And because of that unequal contact density we talked about earlier, fans naturally internalize this public broadcast as personal, private affection directed solely at them. All right, Section 4, the emotional imbalance. This is where we hit the friction of reality. Look, being a fan is for sure not a passive hobby. The investment is massive. We're talking significant amounts of time, money, intense emotional energy, and often a core piece of your very identity. Especially during periods of loneliness, confusion, or high stress, an idol is assigned immense psychological meaning. This huge investment shifts the dynamic entirely. It goes from a simple, hey, I like this artist's music, to a desperate, this person is my life support. And that is exactly where the scale tips into a severe emotional imbalance. This imbalance makes a firm boundary absolutely necessary. On one side, you have the fan's burden, carrying this high emotional weight, seeking a direct connection, and using the idol as a life anchor. But on the other side, the idol must maintain strict boundaries. They literally cannot respond to everyone. They are a commercial public figure, and getting too private leads to a massive loss of control. When an idol keeps their distance, it isn't coldness or apathy, it is an absolute structural necessity of the role they inhabit. Finally, Section 5, Finding Real Meaning. Let's talk about a paradigm shift. I really want you to let this sink in because it's such an incredibly validating truth. Asymmetry does not mean fake. Just because the relationship structure is entirely unequal, just because it's a one-way street, does not mean your experience is invalid. The feelings you have, the personal growth you've achieved, the joy you felt, all of that is 100% real. When we strip away the expectation of a two-way private relationship, look at what is actually gained. You gain a real, undeniable sense of companionship. You find incredible motivation to improve your own life. You get to enjoy a brilliant aesthetic experience. You receive genuine emotional support during dark times. And you find a deep sense of community belonging with thousands of others who share your passion. The true value of fandom isn't about expecting an equal relationship in return. It's about drawing personal meaning and strength from the person you admire. Recognizing these boundaries simply makes being a fan easier, lighter, and way less hurtful. Understanding this psychological framework, really knowing the difference between public expression and a private response, and accepting the necessity of the idol's boundaries is your ultimate tool. It allows you to engage in a healthy, boundary-respecting way that protects your peace and entirely prevents fan burnout. We've journeyed a long way in this explainer today, from the illusion of closeness right to the reality of parasocial mechanics. And it brings us to this one final thought. If the true value, the real meaning of fandom, actually comes from within you and how you use that inspiration in your own life, how will you redefine your relationship with the stars you follow? Take this understanding, reclaim your emotional energy, and build a fan experience that truly empowers you. Thanks for joining me.